Let's get started with security. It's a topic that has lingered in the nation. And talking since before the previous government now, the Buhari government came in, the Jonathan government dealt with it, particularly terrorism. Then the Buhari government came, transitioned into banditry and terrorism a little bit. Then the Tinubu government has come and it's battling banditry, terrorism, Lakurawa, and kidnapping, all of those issues together in one. There's been the back and forth on when was security better? Was it during the Jonathan government, the Buhari government, or the Tinubu government? Well, the numbers do not lie. And this morning on the program, we'll be speaking with those who have been in the thick of operations, who have been at the forefront of the fight against, whether you call it terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, or just insecurity in general. And our goal essentially on the program this morning is to troubleshoot these issues, get a sense of their experience, and present viable solutions. We're joined on the program by former Director of Army Public Relations and spokesman for the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman, retired, from our Abuja studio. And right next to him, Major Aku Amberson, retired, former officer in Nigerian Army, public analyst and expert, and post-trauma disorder stress counselor. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Well, it's good to have you on the show. A lot of people last week saw the news of the former DG of NYC being kidnapped and the eventual ransom being demanded of 250 million naira. And they just thought, not again. I thought we had moved considerably away from that. So naturally, I'll begin with you, Brigadier General Usman. This man is former Brigadier General in the Army as well. And I wonder, when you saw that news, what ran through your mind? I mean, I imagine that it wasn't good.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, it is very, very, very pathetic and quite unfortunate. And it is no question of seeing the news. If you look at where he was kidnapped, Tsiga is in Bakore local government area. And it's just a stone throw to Kuka Shega in Gangara local government area of Katsina State. So we came from the same area and we are family, friends. So I have a fair idea of what was going on. So it is not, the information was not just from the news, but from the family, as it were. And that is why, in fact, I declined to give interview in respect of it, because I am deeply involved in the sense that it's a kind of family issue. And, those of us that come from that part of the country, particularly in northwestern part of it, we are part of the front line, vulnerable communities. So it's something that I'm quite aware of, and those are the kind of unfortunate situation we found ourselves. And a point of correction anyway, there's not even 250 million naira they were looking for. They were looking for 400 million naira. 400 million naira. And this is a gentleman who, after meritorious service to the fatherland and rising to even become the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, went back to his community, giving the best he could in terms of support to the vulnerable among the society and all the rest. And here we are. The person of such caliber will be taken just like a chicken or like a dog. I remember not quite long in my own local government, Kankara local government, one of the best medical doctors Ahmadu Bello University has ever produced, Dandashiri, was shot. Right now he's receiving medication. So these are the kind of things. And we have courageous, committed people. Look at this young man. He has all it takes to Japa, but he decided to stay. Not only to stay in Nigeria, he went back to his community, Kankara, and to give the best he could. And that is the reward he's getting. So these are the realities of times that we are living in, those of us that came from that part of the country. And, but invariably, the good thing is that there is still hope that these security challenges will be done with. More so, there is a new awakening on the part of the security forces. You can see what is happening in terms of targeted operations and all the rest, especially in the northwestern part of the country, particularly in Zamfara State. What is there, I think we need to have more blocking forces and a comprehensive approach to this issue. So much as the security forces are doing what they can, we also need other components of Nigerian society to support, to see that we deal with this issue decisively. What I mean here is that you can see there are diverging voices as to how do we approach the issue. Take, for instance, even among the state governors, some were of the opinion, let there be dialogue and all the rest. And in fact, last week I wrote an article about this issue of dialogue to be or not to be and what sort of circumstances. And I draw our attention to the fact that we need to be very, very careful, because you cannot just wake up overnight simply because you have gone, you kill people, you maim people, and suddenly somebody will just come and say, no, we should forgive you. No. I think there is a need for us to comprehensively look at all this issue, at the same time support our security forces, see how best we can mitigate this. You know, kind of combination between the carrot and stick.
You know, I'll come back to you, Brigadier General Usman, but let me come to Major Amberson, because just the brazen nature of this attack on the former DG of the NYC is shocking. I mean, some would tell you that these criminal elements try to avoid ex-servicemen or, you know, ex-service chiefs or security people in general, because they know that if you go for one of them, the whole force will come for you. But what we're seeing now is the brazen manner in which these bandits, call it whatever, have kidnapped him, demanding 400 million naira ransom in an area where you have grades from in the military coming from. And I wonder, is this meant to also further send a message to the government or the security architecture that, hey, we're getting powerful every day and you can't stop us?
What we are noticing, what we've seen in Katsina is a failure of intelligence, and government, it's a warning to government that we need to sit up. There should be a need for collaboration with other security agencies. There is a failure completely, if you look at it at the grassroots, where there is straight to a retired military officer is a big problem, a big challenge. And the DG and the Brigadier General kidnap. There are so many officers who don't want to even go back to their local communities just because of this. So the issue of security is multifaceted. It means that there has to be stakeholders meeting regularly, gathering and sharing of the security of intelligence among the local community. That one is very necessary. And then the local community itself needs to beef up its own, have their own security outfit to ensure that they fight and then safeguard life and property. I think the main problem has been the issue of unemployment, and then allowing even the bandits to operate for a long time. No one has gone out to arrest and then prosecute them. I'm thinking that we need special courts to try people like that, just like military courts. You must a 3-month a special court can be set up to try people like that, because it is a continuous thing they are doing, and asking for money means that it is a serious business. They are involved in serious business. That means the military is a big war we're fighting, and military is being stretched somewhere. There's no frontier. There's no frontier. That's why it is not normal war. The military needs more men people to be trained. They need to be armed, especially the Air Force. We need to use technology today. Drones need to be used for rescue and then gathering of intelligence. That is the main thing that we need. The borders are porous. How can we safeguard our borders? How can we take care of people who are unemployed? How can we reduce poverty within the society? So these are areas that, and we need to have cooperation with international communities. When there's information, when there's crisis like this, we need to get countries that will help us if we cannot do everything. But I know Ministry of Defense and the present security architecture is they are up to it, and they can nip everything. They'll be able to stop it, but they need support. They need more resources and more training for the security institutions, especially the police, the DSS, and the armed forces. They need more training. And if that training is provided for them, they should be given equipment. Look at the Air Force. They need good helicopters. And not air assets are very expensive, and that is one thing that we need to ensure that the Air Force. Look at what happened in Israel and Gaza. It's the Air Force that had the whole field there. We need a compact Air Force. If there is a compact Air Force, they will be able to fight all what is happening. But there must be cooperation from the local people, right from the traditional rulers to the local government and then state government. There should be community meeting regularly to ensure that there is sensitization. And then we have to ensure that those who are sponsoring these people, they are identified by the security agencies and punished immediately.
General, let's talk about intelligence, which is the core of this conversation. So when I look at what's happening in Goma in eastern DRC, it's been bordered by places like Uganda, Rwanda, somewhere Tanzania around, and what happens with mineral-rich areas is also what you can see in the north. The president at the meeting of African leaders at high intelligence meeting had talked about this as well, that foreign money is involved in some of these things. So in your view and in your books, let's dwell on intelligence. Where are we failing on this? Or you feel that there is institutional complicity, or what exactly is going on that we're not able to minimize these incidents as much as possible? We're losing lives, we're losing resources, we're losing public confidence. Those series of losses is not good for any community and any nation.
You are quite right, and it couldn't have been said any better in terms of the impact of the security challenges and the magnitude. And what I want you to understand is that whenever there is complex situation, there is an economic system in the development cycle is called war economy, in which people that benefit from it will do everything possible to continue to exacerbate that issue. Take for instance, now in the northwest, particularly northwestern part of the country, initially it was just hardest farmers conflict that was mismanaged and escalated into what we are experiencing in terms of banditry and kidnapping. But to compound it all, the presence of mineral resources, particularly gold, as rates the trajectory of the conflicts. And it is the same thing with what you have in DRC Congo. With all the available resources up to now, that country is not developed simply because there were vested interests that were interested in exploration of the mineral resources as against the well-being of the human resources. And so what do you do in terms of this? So it is no question of failure of intelligence, but the long and short of it is that you have to look at each situation in the context of which it happened. Take for instance, if we go back to the issue at hand that we are talking about, the kidnapping of elder brother Jeremiah Ziga. Now you look at it, this is no question of failure of intelligence, or so to speak. You see, it's issue of betrayal of trust, in the sense that over time, the perpetrators of this crime and the victims have always been living in peace and harmony. And I don't even agree with the fact that what people were saying, that poverty is an excuse for crime. No. Right now, right in my hometown, there are people today that they have not taken breakfast. They have no idea where their lunch or dinner will come from. And it's a family of 10, 5 or more. And yet they will never resort to crime. They will rather die of hunger. So it is inexcusable for anybody to raise the issue of those extraneous variables to perpetrate. And in any case, I have not seen any of these criminals, be it an armed robber, be it a bandit or kidnapper, that has said that today I have coveted so much resources, let me set up a legitimate business. And up to now, those people that are kidnapping, I haven't heard of any infrastructural development that they have made in terms of healthcare, in terms of education. So it is just personal interest and nothing but that. So and the earlier we look at it from that perspective, the better. But agreed, yes, we're addressing some of this issue. We have to go to the root causes: unemployment, poverty, illiteracy, and all the rest. Yes, we have to address them at the same time. But sincerely speaking, these are no excuse, because how do you solve the problem by killing people, especially women and children? And take for instance Maharaj Ziga, who could barely walk, and now you have taken him. How could that help your problem? So that is just by the way. So the issue is we have to put our heads together. Now technology is one of the key things. Take for instance, before I even came to this place, I checked. And on my way from my residence to this studio, I realized there are over 24 satellites over me. So if there is anything they want to do with me, they can deal with me decisively. So it's just question, like he has made mention of the fact that we need to cooperate internationally, you know, because there are certain things that we are lacking in this country. So we have to cooperate to see how best. I can rest assure you, if it is a single individual, once he moves, definitely he will be detected. Talk less of a situation whereby these people that were abducted, they are more than 8. Yesterday, a friend of mine just nearby village was telling me that in fact they kidnapped his younger sister along with her children and 5 others. So only God knows the number of people that were taken. They can easily be detected. That is one. The issue of use of technology. And the other one is the issue of human intelligence. We have to cultivate relationship. You know, the security forces are not magicians. They rely on the information they are given, and that information has to be timely, has to be accurate. But of course, they have particular pattern of, you know, tactics and all the rest, because part of the grievances there is issue of allegation of high-handedness. And it's just like the House of Proverbs that if you are given, literally translated, if you are trying to give birds seeds or whatever it is, food, you don't raise your hand. So you have to evolve a mechanism whereby you cultivate their understanding so that I can give you timely and accurate information. And like I mentioned earlier on, when you are dealing with security challenges, you don't deal with security challenges with a divided house. So there is a need for total mobilization of the Nigerian society, that we look at the security issues from the same prism, that everybody is on the same page so that we understand. And I made reference to the issue of some of the state governors. Somewhere for dialogue, somewhere, for the kinetic operation. All perspectives were exactly right. But at the same time, I can understand dialogue will solve the problem, but under certain circumstances, under certain conditions. Now that our security forces are doing the best they could, we need to enhance their capability in terms of equipment, in terms of intelligence, in terms of encouragement in any way we can, so that we can reach a certain point that these guys will succumb and we have the dialogue on our own terms. Nigeria were the leading contributing country.
If I may come in, General, just a moment.
In UN, and they have done very well in Sierra Leone, they have done very well in Liberia, and we have seen what Rwanda has done. And so issue of justice will come into play. These are the things that we have to take into consideration.
All right, General, let's take it to, great point you've raised, but let's take it to Major, and I don't know whether you share the same view with the General as to intelligence is not a failure of intelligence, because intelligence is supposed to be preemptive by its design to stop some of these attacks. But in speaking to that, I was also like you to speak to the issue of community relations, because some of these communities, from what we've heard in terms of nuances, even from the CDS, it appears there's complicity with the bandit and some of these elements, either by choice or by duress, which can affect intelligence and delivery of the kind of service the military is supposed to give to the nation. So how do we navigate that very slippery slope?
That slope, what we can do is, community engagement is very important. We should be able to identify some people that we can talk to, and that has to be a regular platform with the chiefs, with the chairman of local government. Ensure that once in a while you hold stakeholders meeting, so that they air their views. They know those who are visitors within their local community. We need police, local police, community policing, and that is very important. They can help in terms of gathering intelligence. I still insist that there is failure in intelligence. What we need is, there is need for capacity building, improve training for the security agencies, especially in intelligence and sharing of the intelligence. There should be synergy between all of them. And then we have to ensure that soft target, how do we protect soft target? People are out there doing their farming and they are not secured. So we're heading towards there's going to be food security, there's insecurity, there's going to be crisis in terms of food, and that is exactly what we're going through. People should be able to give information. There are saboteurs, I quite agree, within the local communities. They know that if you look at the belt from Zamfara to Katsina, there is gold, like what the general mentioned. There is gold. There is solid mineral resources in Nigeria, and that's why so many countries, maybe foreign countries, sponsors are fully involved. I am sure that They don't want a stable country like Nigeria. If Nigeria is stable, all these things will just come out easy. But the moment there is instability in the country, investment will be difficult. People will not like to invest in Nigeria. But with the politics today, we expect a proactive government, a transformational leader like what we have today. We need, once in a while, there should be engagement with the community. There should be engagement with those we know that can actually help at the grassroots. We also need partners, foreign partners who can help in terms of funding these activities for the military. We need more equipment for the military. We need the media to support. If the media reports well, without overblowing some of the things, part of the issue is solved. The whole thing raised with the media, and then social media is another area that we need to counter their propaganda. A lot of them go out. The terrorists use social media to destroy our country through negative reportage, and that is what we need to do. We need to see how we can have an edge over there in terms of propaganda, in terms of information sharing within all the local communities and all the states and the stakeholders. That is exactly what I think we should be doing. Ensure that people have information at their fingertips to know when they can report. And in terms of intelligence gathering, every person in Nigeria is involved. We should be able to report to government immediately when we notice anything that is ugly. And that's my take on the whole on that issue.
Oh,
thank you.
Major Osman, perhaps you, Brigadier General Osman, pardon me, perhaps you want to speak to some of the points raised. There's a very present challenge now we're faced with getting the former NYC DG back. And I wonder for you, when things like this happen, what, from your experience, what are the conversations that happen within the security agencies, either military or police, such that maybe you look at the incident and say, oh, this is where we had our shortcomings. So moving forward, this is what we're going to fix, perhaps with intelligence gathering, with our operations. Do those conversations happen? If they happen, why does it look like we don't get incremental improvement in securing those areas?
It means that there is failure within the security agencies. It means there is no serious cooperation within them. If there is serious cooperation, all this wouldn't have happened.
Pardon me, that's for Brigadier General Usman.
Yeah, thank you once again. The thing is that it's something that everybody is concerned, and honestly, I must tell you that I'm very, very much impressed with the reaction of the security forces and various other individuals that are so concerned about the well-being and the safety of the general and all those abducted along with him. And I am so sure that, quite sure of the concerted efforts being done to ensure that he is returned back to his family. It's a delicate balancing and between the security forces and other people that are trying to see how best they can secure his release. And this is to tell you how much goodwill the general has generated, and of course the concern. And honestly, I must thank each and everyone in this effort, and we hope and pray that their efforts will yield the desired result. And going back to the issue that you are talking about, we look at it, basically, I like to situate any issue in the context of which it operates. And I made reference to the issue of mobilization, to the issue of fighting insecurity with a divided house. Now, right from day one, you know, these security challenges, they kept on evolving. And unfortunately, to a large extent, we are kind of lagging behind in terms of dealing with them as it were. Because some years back, maybe 25 years ago, if you told anyone in this country that we will have the magnitude of security challenges, particularly terrorism and insurgency, they will say no. But now here we are, right from the underwear, pants, and all the rest, that a Nigerian could, be willing to commit suicide in terms of suicide, but simply because of ideological belief, you will say no. But now it is a sad reality. So what do? The issue is, first and foremost, we have to understand and dissect the problem and look at it. And what are the best practices? And in this case, I would like to also commend the security forces. And because people or other countries with all the sophistication, the technology, and faced with similar security challenges, they were not able to fare better given the timeline that Nigeria was able to. And here I'm talking about insurgency as manifested by the activities of the Boko Haram. Colombia, for instance, has been fighting the facts for 58 years before they came to conclusion, a kind of negotiation. So here we are, in less than 15 years, we are able to deal with Boko Haram. You know it and I know it. Even though you are in Lagos, here in Abuja, you cannot move more than 1 kilometer without one checkpoint or the other. In fact, even if you are going to buy, even if it is medication, you are afraid whether you will not come back alive. We know that the symbol of democracy were desecrated. But the security forces and the government was able to rise to the occasion. Today, Boko Haram is not only is no longer in the northwest, so to speak, in that magnitude as it were, or northeast, but is consigned to Borno and Yobe, eventually Borno, even at the fringes of Sambisa. So this is something that, what are those things that we have been doing very well that we should encounter, and we don't relapse. The thing is that both the bandits and the terrorists, they are resilient. They don't give up because to them that is what they know. So what do? So you be ahead of game. And take, for instance, now, so much as we improve the capacity of our security forces, because bulk of the security challenges that we have in this country, we neglected our policing system.
Indeed.
And because if you look at it from 1999 to date, how much have you invested in the policing system to catch up with the 21st century? So much as you are dealing with security challenges, you also continue to build up structures that will...
important points you made, particularly with the police, and that's why I mentioned the police earlier on. But we really have to anchor at this point. Clearly not the end of a conversation. And some will refer to the recent attacks we've seen from Boko Haram, ISWAP, particularly in northeast Nigeria. But we have to thank you so much for shedding light on these issues, and we hope for the very best with the former DG of the NYSC. We've been speaking with Brigadier General Sonny Usman, retired former Director of Army Public Relations and spokesman of the Nigerian Army, as well as former officer in the Nigerian Army, public analyst, Major Akko Amberson, retired. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So we're staying with the issue of security. We'll call it insecurity, what have you. And this time we're touching on the operational issues. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.